Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to explore how a single night in Paris, and one absolutely legendary performance by Zinedine Zidane, forever changed both the tactical landscape of football and the cultural fabric of a whole nation. On July 12, 1998, France didn't just win a trophy, they completely shattered a historical complex and forged a legacy that continues to define them today.
But before we unpack the absolute tactical masterclass of that '98 final, we've got to ask a pretty crucial question. How exactly did a single match transform a national scapegoat into a cultural god? To really understand the immense psychological weight resting on Zidane's shoulders that night, we can't just look at the final itself. We actually have to look backwards.
Which brings us to Section 1, The Curse of Les Bleus, France's glorious losers.
Just look back at the agonizing path France walked before 1998. It was a brutal timeline of heartbreaks that basically cemented their reputation as a team that played beautifully but, well, always collapsed under pressure. It started with the 1982 Seville tragedy, where Patrick Battistone was viciously fouled by West Germany's Harald Schumacher, leading to a super traumatic penalty shootout loss. Then came the sheer devastation of failing to even qualify for the 1990 World Cup. And finally, the ultimate dark night in 1993, the Bulgaria trauma, where a last-second Emil Kostadinov goal on home soil totally shattered their '94 World Cup hopes.
Now, this repeated trauma bred what became known as Poule d'Or's syndrome. It's actually named after a famous French cyclist who basically always finished second. France had literally romanticized losing. Think about that for a second. They decided a magnificent defeat was somehow more poetic than actually winning the trophy. It was this massive psychological barrier that manager Aimé Jacquet had to violently tear down to build a champion.
All right, moving on to Section 2, The Fall and the Faith. Zidane on the brink.
So hidden away from the public eye in 1996, Zidane was actually in a severe car crash. The impact was huge, leaving him playing the entire Euro '96 tournament with a massive, incredibly painful pelvic hematoma. The press labeled his performances there a total flop, literally calling him a ghost on the pitch. But very, very few people knew he was battling severe physical trauma just to be out there. And this underperformance fed into a fiercely negative media narrative. The French press relentlessly attacked manager Aimé Jacquet. When Jacquet dropped massive stars like Eric Cantona and David Ginola in favor of a more pragmatic, disciplined system, wow, the media mocked him mercilessly. Just listen to this headline from L'Equipe. And we're playing with 13? It perfectly captures the incredibly toxic, doubtful environment surrounding the team right before the World Cup. But in stark contrast to all that media hostility, Jacquet placed absolute, unwavering faith in his young playmaker. He actually looked Zidane in the eye and told him, "It's with you that I'll prepare for these competitions." Jacquet built his entire defensive, disciplined system specifically to protect Zidane, giving him the absolute security and creative freedom he needed to flourish. It really is a profound lesson in leadership. Jacquet absorbed all that public toxicity just to give his star the security to shine. But then, disaster struck. With France comfortably leading Saudi Arabia 2-0, Zidane astonishingly lost his cool and stamped on the Saudi captain Fouad Anwar. Getting a red card when you're already up 2-0, it's almost hard to comprehend. He became the first French player ever sent off in a World Cup and got hit with a 2-match ban. Honestly, Zidane came terrifyingly close to becoming the nation's ultimate scapegoat if France had been knocked out while he was gone.
Which brings us to Section 3, a tactical masterclass, dismantling Brazil.
So, with Zidane back for the final, notice how perfectly France's rigid, disciplined midfield was designed to completely suffocate Brazil's creative freedom. Jacquet set up this 4-3-2-1 formation. You had Didier Deschamps acting as the defensive anchor, Christian Carambeu providing relentless pressing, and Emmanuel Petit as the box-to-box engine. They were going up against Brazil's 4-2-2-2, a system that relied heavily on individual flair and a really high aggressive line.
And the battle was totally won in those tactical zones. By shifting to a compact 4-5-1 out of possession, France's three-man central block completely isolated Brazilian playmakers Rivaldo and Leonardo. They basically just denied the central passing lanes and forced Brazil out wide. Plus, because Brazil's fullbacks, Cafu and Roberto Carlos, pushed so high up the pitch, France's tucked-in wingers were able to exploit all that empty space on the counter. It was literally a systemic dismantling of individual brilliance.
Let's head to Section 4. 2 headers to glory. The set-piece blueprint. Okay, so these weren't just lucky goals.
This was a meticulously rehearsed, three-step blueprint specifically designed to exploit actual flaws in Brazil's zonal marking system. The plan was incredibly precise. Deliver the corner to the near post, subtly screen the Brazilian goalkeeper Claudio Taffarel so he couldn't move freely, and then have Zidane time his run perfectly right into that vulnerable zone. And the result? 2, the absolute magic number. In his defining, legendary performance, Zidane became the only player in history to score 2 headers in a World Cup final. Both were executed with just devastating precision before halftime, completely breaking Brazil's spirit and proving that Jacquet's meticulous set-piece preparation was way more potent than spontaneous brilliance.
The real icing on the cake came right in the 90th minute. With Brazil overcommitting men forward in sheer desperation, substitute Patrick Vieira intercepted the ball, drove into this vast open space, and laid off a perfectly weighted pass to Emmanuel Petit, who just slotted it home. This 3-0 victory was a total masterclass in modern game management, just absorbing immense pressure with a low block and ruthlessly punishing the opponent on the counter.
Now for our final section, Section 5, a new French identity, the aftermath. This victory immediately transcended sport. The whole nation rallied around the slogan, Black, Blanc, Boer. It was a play on the blue, white, and red of the French flag, translating to black, white, and Arab. I mean, the team featured players from Guadeloupe, the Basque Country, Algeria, Armenia, and Ghana. They became the ultimate mirror of a diverse and triumphant modern society, offering living proof that a multicultural, integrated model could actually achieve ultimate glory. It's a pretty powerful reminder of how a sports team can sometimes hold a mirror up to the very best version of a society.
And the scale of the celebration was absolutely staggering. Over 1 million people flooded the Champs-Élysées in this incredible moment of sheer national communion. It was a level of euphoric unity the country hadn't seen in decades. A celebration that, just for a moment, completely erased social fractures.
Right at the center of it all, a single iconic image totally captured the mood. Zidane's face was projected massively onto the Arc de Triomphe with 2 simple words. Merci Zizou. The shy kid from the rough Castellane district of Marseille, the son of Algerian immigrants, had literally become the face of the entire nation, securing his status as a living legend and a total intergenerational icon.
And you know, the legacy of that 1998 night never faded. It permanently validated the Clairefontaine Youth Academy model, providing a blueprint so incredibly effective, it even inspired Germany's total youth rebuild that won them the 2014 World Cup. It led directly to France's Euro 2000 victory, and it established the undeniable winning DNA that Didier Deschamps, the '98 captain, used to manage France to yet another World Cup victory in 2018. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you to ponder this final question. When you look back at that legendary night at the Stade de France, was the magic born solely from Zinedine Zidane's undeniable individual genius? Or was it actually the ultimate triumph of Aimé Jacquet's flawless, disciplined collective system, a system built entirely to set that genius free? It's a really fascinating debate, and it's exactly what makes the story of France '98 absolutely immortal.